Well, good day, everyone. This is Geraldo Isaacs. Welcome to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to go through creating a EMA based or EMA channel based EA. Okay. Um, so what we're going to do today is we're going to combine the EMA with the RSI and the CCI indicators. So we're going to look at what these indicators are. We're going to look at how they're traded and then how we will trade them, and then we will create a basic EA using MQL5. So in short, an EMA stands for the exponential moving average, right? It's a moving average indicator. The moving average takes the last n number of bars, right, of price and divides them by that number. So if you look at an EMA of 20 or MA of 20, right, you're looking at the last candlesticks over the last 20 periods, whether it's on a 5-minute chart or 20-minute chart, right, or 1 hour chart. So the number of bars will be in that time frame over that period that you're looking back at, right? And then the EMA is used, excuse me, the EMA can be thought of as a dynamic trend line, right? Some people say they use it also as a dynamic support and resistance indicator. And then what is the CCI? The CCI is the Commodity Channel Index, right? It identifies cyclical trends, okay? It's momentum based and it measures how far price deviates from its statistical average, right? So basically, your typical moving average. Excuse me. Um, and then your RSI is short for Relative Strength Index. It's a oscillator type that shows the strength of price. So either the strength of price going up or the strength of price going down, right? Just like what we did with the ADX in the last episode. The ADX is the measure of the strength of trend, either up or down, bullish or bearish. And the RSI is the strength of price, right? Bullish or bearish. Okay. So how these indicators are typically traded, right? The EMA identifies trend direction and potential entry or exit points. The CCI is used to identify overbought or oversold conditions and potential reversals, right? The RSI, similar to the CCI, also looks for or is used to identify overbought and oversold conditions. Um, and it's used for more for timed entries, right? The the idea of using this together is you're looking at a momentum based and then you're looking at a time window, right? Using your EMA, kind of like we said earlier, a dynamic supported resistance. And then the EMA is also supportive in terms of identifying trend direction, right? How we will trade this is we are going to combine these indicators into the following basic strategy. We're gonna take price, the current price, and then the previous price, and then we first gonna compare, right? Is price closing upwards or downwards? Then we're gonna look at, is this price closing above the EMA, and is this price in terms of the RSI, is it above 50, right? The 50 value of the RSI, plus is the CCI above 65, right? Ideally, you could say 100, but I think 100 is a bit too much of movement. And then you're gonna look at for sell signals is price below the EMA channel. Yes, so we're gonna create a channel where we're gonna take two EMAs the same period, and then we're gonna have one set to upper close and then the one set to a lower close, right? So that region of price between its high and its low over the last number of bars would be the average area where price is moving, right? So we're saying if price moves above this channel and closes above this channel, we are in an uptrend, and we're looking at the RSI and the CCI in terms of confluence, right? And additionally, for sell, or I mean, similarly for sell, we are looking at is price closing below the channel, and is the RSI, excuse me, is the RSI and the CCI. Buffer values 50 for RSI and below, minus 65 for CCI. Okay, so that's what we're going to looking at in terms of the the RSI values. Okay, so next we're going to go into our meta quotes and create our basic EMA. Okay. Okay, so continue on from the slides. So what we need to do is we need to create our global variables, and the first thing we need to do is to include our trading class. That's our backslash. And then create the object trade. Now there's a number of standard things you need to have, as we have already looked at in the previous lesson. You need a stop loss, you need a take profit, you need a lot size, you need the indicator variables, and then you need the buffer variables for the indicators. So we're going to create a few more variables here. Int for CCI handle, RSI handle, let's do this, EMA, EMA1, EMA2, and then I think that's all, yeah. And then we'll need the buffer variables for those. So the EMA, EMA1 buffer. Okay, so we need the buffer for the EMA high, buffer for the EMA low. We need the buffer for the RSI, and then the buffer for the CCI. And then on top of that, we need the periods, right? Because we might want to also switch and modify. So we'll take some int values for those. The CCI period gonna be 14. RSI period. And then we have the EMA period. Because the two EMAs are moving over the same period, so we're going to set only one EMA period for both. Ideally, you want to have a more like the overbought oversold conditions for your CCI. So you're gonna have CCI, let's say OS level. Gonna set that to minus 100. Let's make it 65. Let me copy that. Oh, this will be an int value. Same with that. So you have your overbought and then your oversold levels, right? You could also set one for your RSI OS of 11 would be 70. This would be 30. Okay. And then we said you need your values for your points. Oh, we can make this int. Let's make this say 350. No, we make this 200. We make this 350. So your TP points will be 350. Your SL points will be 250, and then you have double your lot size. Okay. Then next you have input your time frames, right? Okay, and then we'll have a few more additional variables like we did last time. You want to also look at the previous close price and also your current close price. So we're going to have just normal variables, not input variables. You'll have your previous close, your current close, your ask price, and your bid price. Okay. One more thing we're going to look at is our total bars, which we'll set to 0. Okay. Now, I think that should be all. If we missed anything, we'll come back to that later. Now we'll create our indicators. The first will be our CCI. So CCI handle is equal to ICCI. Get the symbol, set the time frame variable, and then use its period. Okay, and then give it a close price. Similarly, our RSI. Okay, RSI, nope, should be RSI period, and also close price. And then we'll do our EMAs. EMA, EMA, symbol, time frame, EMA period. We're not going to shift it, so it's always 0. and because we're using it on EMA, it's gonna be the mode's gonna be EMA. Then we can copy that and then change that. That is all. Okay, then we just make sure that our indicators are properly instantiated. Always does that. Okay. RSI. We're checking for invalid handles, right? EMA1, EMA2. Yeah, so if any of these are invalid, we'll print the message to say error counted, couldn't create indicator. Okay, then we give a code. Okay, and then we instantiate our buffer variables, right? So we set array, set a series. So CCI buffer true. Okay, and we can just copy those RSI, and then EMA2, and then EMA1. Okay, so that is pretty much done for onInit function, right? We use this function for initializing and instantiating any important objects or variables. We do our initial checks in here as well, which is always very important. You want to make sure that everything has been created and has been allocated appropriately before you continue on to using system resources, right? So the onTick function is where we are going to also just check for, number one, we're going to check for each bar, right? We're going to make sure that we are only running. So we only want to run this or use this when a new bar has been created, right? So to do that, we create a variable in here called bars, and we get the bar values, right? We are running it on this symbol, and then we're checking it against this time frame. Okay, then we check if total bars, it always does this, if total bars is not equals to, sorry, our bars variable, right? We know that we have a new bar, and then we update our total bars to our bars, right? And then we get our copy buffer values. So we get the handle first, which will be CCI to start with. We are always going to start at 0, and we are going to get 2 readings. Okay, I'm going to store that into the CCI buffer value. Okay, then next we're going to get our EMA1, we're gonna get 2. Yeah, we're gonna get 2, and then gonna store that into our EMA buffer variable. Okay, I think I did not name something correctly because I keep getting 2 and not 1. So let's see what I did not do correctly here. Yeah, see, so it should be EMA1 buffer and EMA2 buffer. Okay, now we can continue. So we copy and paste that. We update this to 2 and that to 2 as well. Then our last cop buffer will be our RSI 0, 0, and 2. And then we store it into the RSI buffer. Now, before we check our trading conditions, we have to get some of the values that we set the variables for above, which the first is going to be our ask, which will be equals to our system info for the current symbol, and we are getting the ask price, yes. Then secondly, we are checking for the bid price, and then can add this to bid, and then we are getting our previous okay, now we'll get our previous close from the iClose for the symbol against our time frame, and because we're checking for the previous close or for the previous bar, we are gonna use 1. Remember, the current bar is always 0, so for current close we can use the iClose set to 0. Okay, just like that. Now we have all our indicators created, our buffer values retrieved, our variables set. Now we can check our trading conditions. Okay, so we'll say if our previous close, if our previous close is less than our current close, okay, yes, and our current, why did I do that? And our current close is above our EMA1, right, for our current EMA value, and our CCI is above, let's say it's 65, right? Okay, so we'll do the CCI over, yeah, it's above over CCI overbought level. Okay, so we'll check if our price is currently meeting CCI overbought, and then if our price is also meeting the RSI but for the RSI we want to look at overbought levels. We want to look at the 50 level, right? So if price is above, equal to or above the 50 level, then we are going to enter a buy. So using our trade object, Okay, what did we do wrong here? Let's just have a look. So this should be C, trade with a capital T. Yes. Okay, so before we do this, we actually have to also set our take profit and stop loss, right? So we're going to say SL. No, let's create new variables here called double SL level and TP level. Okay, and then our SL level is going to be equals to our ask price because we are doing buys, the normalized doubles of our SL points times the point value of the current symbol, and we're gonna limit it to the amount of digits permissible, right? And then we are going to duplicate that for our take profit. This should be minus, and this should be TP points. Okay, then we can execute our trade, right? Doing a buy using our lot size for our current symbol, and then our ask price, our stop loss level, and our take profit level, and a simple comment just to log our trade. We can say our MA channel CCI RSI EA buy. Right. And we can do this, copy and paste this. Okay, what was that? Copy and paste this for our cells. I don't know what I just did, but this should be fine. Okay, so now what I want to do is want to see that our this is wrong here, but that's fine. So I want to see if our current close is actually lower than our previous close, and then this is wrong. Okay, let me change this. I think there's a confusion because of this. Yeah, then right, so our current close must be less than our previous close in this case, and then our current close must be below our second buffer, EMA buffer, and then our CCI must be in our oversold level, right? We can actually say equals to, and this should be below. Okay, so now we are just looking for our sell conditions, and now our what sell level stop loss level and our take profit levels need to be against the bid price and not the ask price, right? So because we are going lower, this will be plus, this will be bid, and minus. Okay, and then this command will be sell. Okay, so let's compile this, see if there are any errors, of which there are. I always forget to use the at the close price for our EMA. So let's hit that. What else do we have wrong here? Undefined index EMA. Yes, that is correct. So no errors here. We can open our MT5. Go to, okay, let's close this. And we can test this new EA, which is our EMA channel, CCI, RSI, right? We want to test it against the USD JPY. And then let's give it 1,000. Yeah, let's run this. Okay, there seems to be something wrong here. My goodness. Okay, definitely doing something wrong. Let's have a look. Okay, the EA is profitable, as you can see. It's a lot of trades happening, unfortunately, though, at the same time. A lot of drawdown in the last few months. Let's see. So a total drawdown of 31%, of a recovery factor of 2.3, profit factor of 1.1. What is our sharp A? Sharp A is a bit low to 1.1. So obviously there's a lot of optimization that can still be done. Oh, wait. I think there's one thing we did wrong. Let's go back to our editor. Guys, this should be sells, not buys. I think this is where we did a big blunder, right? So let's recompile that. And let's rerun this. Okay. Ooh. That does not look nice. But in any case, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of optimization that can still be done. Ideally, what I would suggest is perhaps look at getting 3 candle values, right? So that you're looking back at the last 3 bars, and then you confirm if the price movement is indeed upwards or downwards. In this case, we're just looking at the last 2 candles, right, where the current close and the previous close, right, the one is above the other. And what we can do is have the third candle confirm if the third candlestick is closing below where we are currently looking at, right? If we're looking at the upper channel, right, of the EMA, so EMA1, that means that the first one should close below, and then our second candle, which is our previous close, can be either at or above, right, EMA1. So okay, let's just update our code and we look at that. So what we can do in that case is do something like this. So we would do something like okay, what's happening here? Okay, so we'll do something like if okay, but we need to create a extra variable for that. So we'll have an additional previous close. So we'll call this one previous 2. Okay, so we just created an additional global variable called previous 2, and then we will grab that one here, right? And then in our if condition, we will check if the previous one is below, right, our EMA1 buffer, right? And then we will look at the second value, right? Because now we are getting 3 buffer values, okay? And if our previous close is above or equals to our EMA1, right? And if our current close is greater than our previous close. So in that sense, we are ensuring that we are moving from below the EMA channel to above the EMA channel. Okay. And then now we want additional confluence with our RSI being above 50 and our CCI above, not that, above the overbought level, right? We can also change that to 50 and so on. So now we can copy this and update this section as well, right? So now we want to say this should be above, this should be below, this should be below, and this should be below, like that, right? And this should be oversold. Okay, let's just make sure that the oversold is minus 65. That's correct. Okay, so now we can compile that. It compiles perfectly, and run this again. Looks a bit better, right? So you can obviously still optimize this further, and then ensure that you are looking at a few more either indicators or maybe a better logic for your trading. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.